Hi, friends, and welcome to Not Alone with Melissa Sue Methvin. Today's episode is deeply personal and incredibly special to me. When I lost my husband, I didn't know how to breathe, literally. My body was in survival mode. I couldn't sleep, I couldn't eat, and my heart hurt so much I honestly thought I was going to have a heart attack. In my very first counseling session after his passing, my therapist led me through a 10-minute breathwork practice over Zoom. And when I opened my eyes, I remember telling him, I felt God. Everything in me softened. My heart slowed down. My nervous system found a moment of peace. That was the moment breathwork entered my life. I began seeking it out any way I could, on YouTube, on podcasts, and when I moved to Arizona, I found Reconnect MindBody in Mesa. That's where I met today's guest, Jerame Mudick. His breathwork classes were unlike anything I'd ever experienced. I cried, I released deep pain, I felt messages from Scott. It felt like miracles were happening on the mat. That's the power of breath and the power of Jerame's gifts. Since then, I've trained in Austin, Texas with Somatic IQ alongside survivors, healers, world changers. But Jerame's work always called me back home. He created Resurrect Breathwork, a method that helps people release what's held in the body without having to relive it. Jerame has become not just a mentor to me, but a dear friend. He's a global breathwork educator, human biomechanics specialist, singer, breakdancer, and the founder of Reconnect MindBody with locations in Mesa and soon to be Scottsdale, Arizona. But more than that, he carries the kind of safe, grounded masculine energy this world needs more of. So today, you're going to hear about his healing journey, what breathwork really does for the body and spirit, and how we can reconnect to the part of us that already knows how to heal. Let's breathe into it. So welcome. I truly had to read this because this is how I felt with my journey. And I don't know if I know if I expressed that to you, but to just have it in writing and how impactful you have been in my healing journey. And I just had to let you know that from the very beginning when I had my first breathwork session, and I honestly still remember, it was over Zoom, and here I am in fight and flight mode. I can't eat, I can't sleep. I'm seriously having sharp pains in my heart. And it was the hospital. It was actually the organ donor specialist in the Maui hospital found me someone on Honolulu. And he said he can connect with you the next day. And I remember sitting in our little condo and meeting with him, and I'm just, frantic, telling him a little bit my story. And he probably was like, okay, she needs to breathe. And he's like, very calmly says, I'm going to guide you through a breathwork session. I'm like, oh, okay, that sounds great, And I still remember just in how powerful that 10 minutes was. I was so in awe and amazed. I opened my eyes and looked at him like, wow, I felt God. And it was this immense peace that covered over me. Wow. It was this calm. My heart had stopped from just, palpating so fast. And I was like, well, I'm going to need to do more of that to actually survive this. Because I know, I've always been into health, and I know if I stayed in that state for a long period of time, I'm not going to be around also for my children. And I knew the immense pain that they were going through, losing their dad. I said, I can't leave either. So I got to do everything in my power. So that's where breath work came into my life. And I continued, when I was living in Wasilla, I remember going to a court, like I had so many court appointments, for the lawsuits and all this stuff. And I remember being so nervous to be in front of the judges, and I would do breath work going there in my car. And so that's where it got introduced. And when I moved to Arizona, and there's no random, here I am thinking, I went to see homes. I'm trying to look for schools, and I'm like, look on my old MindBody app. I'm like, oh, I'm going to go for a workout. I really need a workout right now. But instead of seeing a workout, what catches my eye is a place called Reconnect MindBody. And I'm like, that I was close at, because I was staying at a hotel, I don't know, nearby. And I was like, what is this? I'm like, I feel like I need this. And I go to your place, Reconnect MindBody, and I felt like, oh, I'm home. Like, this will be a place I will continue to come when I move here. And I remember, actually, you walked in that day. I was there. Yeah, I remember you walked in. There was another gal working there. She no longer works there. But it was so healing. She held me. I remember going in the water in the cold plunge, because you have cold plunge, red light, sauna, the compressions. And I remember getting out of that water and tears just flowing. And she just held me and hugged me. And she didn't know my story. She didn't know anything. Yeah. So, but that's my first introduction to you. And ever since then, I was coming. I think sometimes I came once I moved here, I so needed it. I still do, but I was coming 5 times a week. Amazing. And really needed it. And I remember meeting you and hearing a little bit your story and starting to come to your breath work. But I'd love to just for people to get to know you if they don't already know you, but just from the beginning, your story and how you even came to want to open up Reconnect and breath work. So I'm giving you the floor now.
Well, for one, thank you for sharing all that you just did. Like, to hear it in such a way, it really hits home into my heart, because that's why this whole thing started, was to be a safe haven for anyone who needed it. Me, I didn't want to open Reconnect. That was not something, I was not in the cards that I wanted to have. I was in the middle of leaving a partnership by owning a gym. And I was done doing the brick and mortar thing, and I just wanted to focus realistically on my training company. And I had people coming over to my house to do ice baths, because I discovered it, and I'll get into that in a bit here. Like when I discovered it and when I discovered the breath, and I just felt like I had to give it to my clients, and you guys got to experience this. It's changing my life, and so it all started when it was 1 week before the lockdowns happened. So for me, I was already bringing people to my house, and I was introducing them to the ice bath and breath work, and I was walking them through it. And I just loved watching the transformations happen, because you would see someone scared, terrified, anxious, a million thoughts running through their head, and they go through the water, and they would face all those things in the present moment and just wash it away and only be able to connect to their breath, right? Mm-hmm. And once they go through the process, even if it was 1 minute or 5 minutes, they would come out, and every single person would just be with the biggest smile on their face and just like, I can't believe I just did that, because my tub is in my backyard, but it was the first Morosco forge ever sold, and it was to me. Yeah, and so it worked really well. It was a little more hardcore grungy, in comparison to the nice ones that we have now, but it still produced ice up to like 6 inches from the bottom up. Wow. Like, it would be a huge platform you have to sit on of all ice.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so it was cold. It was very cold in there, and everyone did a wonderful job, and they all had such powerful experiences. And so to me, I wasn't really looking to open a center that offered that. And that Monday, the week before the lockdowns happened, they announced state of emergency. That Monday, I lay down for my usual 1 p.m. cat nap, like 15-minute cat nap to recharge. Not as often these days, because I don't have as much time. But that was my time slot. It was like 1 p.m. My brain would just start getting tired. So I'm like, I need to just close my eyes, reset. And a vision came through. The vision of Reconnect came through. All of it. Like, I walked through the building. It's very much what you see at Mesa was almost identical to the vision. Oh, wow. And I tried to build it off of what I got in the vision. And so I walk in there and there's people doing ice baths and, doing Wim Hof's horse stance, and I get to the end of the building and I turn around and there's a girl at the front desk just waving at me. And I'm just like, and I look down at my shirt and it says Reconnect MindBody with like this crazy logo.
And wow.
And as soon as I looked up, it was like, the people will need healing. Those are the only words that came through. And then I woke up.
Oh, wow.
And so I just wrote everything down. I even wrote the words that people will need healing and Reconnect MindBody, this ice bath, cold plunge. But I was like, what the heck? And so I run out to the kitchen and tell my girlfriend, I'm like, look, I signed the paper, sit back down, look what just came through in this nap. She's like, what does this mean? I was like, I don't know. Wow. But I think I just got told what I'm supposed to do next. And it's kind of like, what? Because I'm in the process of, naps are where it's at. Your prayers are answered in naps. So, that's good. That's good advice there. Yeah. So that day, I just kind of put it off to the side and I said, okay, I'm just going to come back to this. I got to go to work, these things. The next morning, 6 a.m., my first client, I'm in the middle of training her. Her name is Angie. And out of nowhere, she goes, Jerame, I got to tell you something. And I was like, what? She goes, you need to open a healing center. And I said, I was like, Angie, why would you say that? And she goes, I don't know. I just woke up this morning like I had to tell you that. Wow. And I was just like, what? She goes, yeah, you bring people to your house and do the ice bath thing. Like, you need to open a place where people can come there and you walk them through that. And I'm like just goosebumps everywhere. And I go, Angie, I got to tell you about a vision that just came through yesterday. So I tell her about the vision and she goes, oh, well, you got to do it then. This is clearly God just telling you this is what is needed to happen. And so anyway, that Friday, the world gets shut down. And it was like, holy moly, now everything starts to make sense. The people will need healing because that means something is about to happen or to come, and it's going to be something of an aftermath, like something that can be provided for people after this time frame happens. And then it finally clicked. Like as soon as everything got shut down, I hate to say it, I got excited because I was like, now it's time to build something incredible. Yeah. And everyone was freaked out, and I was the opposite. I was driven. I was focused on like, God gave me a mission, and I do everything in my power to make it happen. Mm-hmm. And so I just started the building process, trying to contact companies, like how does this look, funding wise, how can it work? Like all these things I started to put into play. At the same time, my girlfriend just opened up a gym. And so that had to be shut down. So we moved everything into our garage, but I was still building. And I contacted the broker and I said, hey, I'm going to open a healing center this night. And he said, are you sure, man? He's like, this is like unprecedented times.
Yeah, maybe the wrong timing.
I'm not saying, you can't do what you want to do, but I don't think it's a good time. And I said, God's time is always perfect. I was like, you just got to be willing to take action. I was like, and that's the lesson in all this, I truly believe, is that it's our willingness that allows him to work through you.
Do you find that, because I see that in my own life, do you find because it was the God's plan, that doors just kept opening and it flowed really well?
Absolutely.
Didn't it? Like, did it seem kind of effortless to open it? Not effortless, maybe a wrong choice of word, but every time you opened up a door, there was something that opened in that right direction.
Yeah, basically. Mm-hmm. And it was more along the lines of the doors were opening inside of myself. Because when I went to open up a gym, it was all driven by the Lord anyway. Like I was a personal trainer in a gym for 8 years, multiple gyms, and I never thought I would see myself as a business owner. Yet I always felt the need to be an entrepreneur. Like that always made sense to me. And even when it came to opening the gym, it was all guided through him. So when these messages started to come through, I knew that it was like, yeah, this has to happen, right? So me taking action in that, it was more like I was opening up more doors inside of myself to rediscover who I really was. And like, this is who I am. Like, this is the person, I'm the person who goes and takes action, that listens, and I bring people together, and I try and rally them up and inspire them and get them to open up their hearts and minds. And like, because that's what I always wanted in my life. And so I just started to activate on it and give that to other people, So the doors with me doing that, opening up, started to, I think, increase my vibration, which in turn allowed for more doors to open outside of that. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
And that's where I think more people started to come in and started to take notice. But I will say it was not easy. It was not easy trying to start Reconnect when everyone is still wearing masks and you only could have so many people in a building. Okay. It was a rough time because I had to convince people like, hey, for one, this is safe. And number two, if you don't want to get sick, get in here. Yeah. And so that was my marketing material, and it worked. I mean, I had people coming in there, like I was giving tours and I had nothing done, and I was taking payment through PayPal. Yeah. And I was working 18-hour days building it while still training a full schedule with all of my clients, back and forth, just to try and build this thing, because I knew that this sacrifice and suffering with purpose is going to be worth it in the end.
Wow, that's incredible. I didn't know the depth of that story, but I love it.
Thank you.
I knew it was a calling. I knew you had a vision, but to know how it came through, I mean, it's so, because people did need it, you know, and you've healed so much. Like, I know for me, it was so easy to share as well, because it was so healing. I was like, you got to go there, and I got to go there. And I don't know how many friends have gone there as well and understood what I was talking about as well, you know. And it's not just... because you can have all this stuff at home, but I think what's different with you is, you know, I call them my angels, you know, all your staff, you yourself, the guidance, you know, what they whisper in your, you know, in your ears while you're in a bath. I mean, they get my own children in there. Yeah. I mean, Sophia, she's a water girl. She's from Alaska. I would take them to glacier-fed lakes. So, you know, that's amazing. They're pretty used to the cold, but Mateus never liked the cold. But how, you know, Lauren, she can guide with Mateus, and you guys have these little foam turtles to get them to blow, to learn how to breathe and blow, you know, slowly. And it's been really healing for my kids. Whenever I noticed that anger would kind of creep in, you know, with the grief, I was like, oh, we need to go to the water. We need to go to Reconnect. I've pulled my daughter out of school. Like, she was just really, I think it was almost 4 days. Like, her mental health was not where it needed to be. And that was better for me to take her out and really connect with her and see what she needed. And actually, we went into Reconnect every single day, and she needed that water so much. Wow. So I also appreciate that you allow children there, you know, because, you know, I teach them, you got to be obviously respectful, a little bit more quiet. But, you know, we try and go times there where it's not as busy as well, you know, so they can still, you know, they understand the concept and they really like it. So I think that's the difference. I mean, I now have a sauna at home and red light, but it's not the same. I still go to your facility just to kind of get away from it all, take a good hour and get away. I still, you know, love your breathwork classes, because I needed all that myself, you know. You know, I'm a breathwork facilitator now, and I could do these things, but I don't sit there and do my breathwork for an hour, you know. So I need you.
It's true. It's true. It's kind of hard, right?
Right? It is hard. So I just really appreciate that you do allow children there, because I think there's not enough facilities for healing for kids. That's where I've realized with my own journey, is that as I was trying to find them therapists and healing modalities, there was a lot more for me, not so much for them, you know. And so I really, really like that. And I'd love for people to know kind of, you know, how you got in, because I know a little bit of your story, you know, of when you were younger and dealing with some anxieties, and I'd love for you to share that. If you're open to it.
Yeah. That's kind of like the origin of it all, you know, like why these things are important to me, and why we even allow kids, you know. It's because when you've been there, you know, and you've dealt with anxiety, and we'll put it like this, when you weren't taught the skills on how to manage your emotions, right? It's and most of us don't have those skills. Like, it takes outsourcing, right? Or having a great mentor, or that one parent that just really has got it dialed in and they know how to teach it, right? Like what you're doing with your kids, like you're teaching them how to feel. Yes. Oh, it's the best. Because then it sets them free from the emotions overriding their mind, where they only are reactive. You want them to be able to sit, be present, and have that presence in life, so there's not all these 47 triggers, right? They can go, why do I feel that? What is this person trying to show me?
Self-awareness, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's kind of and actually, I'm like, okay, we're all working on our inner 40s and in our inner child, you know. I'm like, why don't I work with my kids? They are in those ages of inner child, and give them those tools and processing those traumas or emotions now, you know, and they can carry on with those emotions. I keep thinking we need a school that incorporates that too, you know, kindergarten and on, and teaching the kids, emotional intelligence and giving them those tools.
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge, you know, and I feel like that's what like me, my life growing up, I had a great life overall. Like I look back and even the terrible things that happened to me, I am so grateful for, because all those things turned me into the man I am today. Because I took the pain of that and I turned it into something positive, right? And every action I took outside of that, once I realized that I could change who I was, like I didn't have to be a victim. I could be the hero of my own story. That was when I started to see the world differently. And I started to be like, hey, I can become Captain America. Like I literally can become that. I can get as big as possible, athletic as possible. And I can stand for what's right. I can stand for something. And that's where like, I hope that one day my story inspires other people to do the same thing, because you don't have to be stuck with your circumstances and realize that your trauma is not who you are. It can actually be turned into a superpower.
Yes.
And that's where like what's been driving this whole movement of Reconnect is all the things that I went through and how I lived with anxiety buried in my body all the time, and I was sick all the time, and I never knew how to deal with it because I was never taught how to feel.
So when you say you live with like anxiety, can you describe us like what was happening for you? Like what was it limiting you to do?
Imagine like a vice grip on your gut, and you can never take a full breath. And every time that you were pushed to your edge, you feel like you were going to crumble. So every time that you wanted to speak, like how I'm speaking now, my voice would be cracking left and right, and it'd be very much softer. Like I have a deep baritone voice.
Yeah, let it go.
Yeah, let it go. This didn't unlock until I started to work on this stuff. Until I'm 37 now, so it probably unlocked almost when I was 31, 32.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, my voice sounded different. And I was a musician for a while there too, and I had to force myself to get to this. And my producer was always trying to activate that in me, like, it's there, I can hear, but you're not operating in that space. And it's because that trauma was trapped in there. Like my breath was trapped in my trauma. And that's where I think the importance of me diving so much into breath work and have it being a part of Reconnect and teaching people all these things about feeling emotions, how to go inside. It's all about internal growth, because it increases awareness, which allows us to serve others around us, because we are becoming the light. When that happens, then everything starts to enhance, right? Like around everyone. We all start to elevate our vibration. We get out of victimization and go into curiosity. And that's where my whole life of living with all that tension in my body and causing all this excess pain and never really speaking my truth or my opinion and stuff. I was always like, so I was a class clown in school because I got bullied a lot. And my dad is a Marine. He was a tough guy, so when we got in trouble, he would line us up, hands behind the back, couldn't break eye contact. That's just pretty much how it was. Boys don't cry. That's the kind of thing. And don't get me wrong, I learned some great stuff from that kind of stuff. I think it is what allowed me to be successful in bodybuilding, and I competed, is because I learned those militant things early. So when I had to turn it on, I could turn it on. Yeah. But when it gets pushed too far, that's when we look at the moderation rule on these things, to where if you push too far, then you become numb to all emotion, and then I miss out on one of the most important things in life, and that's human connection.
Yes. And
that's where I think my anxiety and the fear that overran my mind for so much of my life is because I was missing connection, right? And it's kind of funny that Reconnect is called Reconnect. There you go. And that wasn't intended, obviously. That was God gave me that name, And, so I think that's really cool, because that is something that I think I was always searching for. And I had a lot of great friends, and my family, divorced early on when I was 4 years old, but we all have stayed together, every family trip, it was still mom and dad. They just became great co-parents, But with that being said, I didn't really have the tools and things to manage my anxiety or my fear. It was more like I would do things that I would try and pull myself out of. So that's why I got into dance, right? And I was already kind of dancing my whole life, but I really got into competing and battling because there was something inside me, like I need to find a way to move this stuff that's within me. I didn't know what it was at first.
Yes.
And it was just energy that was stuck, right? It was all of this suppression, which you're very familiar with, that I was doing to myself, that was causing all this tension in my gut all the time, which would give me the worst stomach pains ever. We're talking, I had the most perfect diet because, for one, I was a personal trainer and a professional bodybuilder. All I did was focus on fitness and food. That was pretty much it. But I was lacking emotional intelligence, at a grand degree, where I had no idea how to manage my own. So I was really good at suppressing everything, and everyone would would be like, man, because I used to be like I was 20 pounds bigger than I am now, and people would always, look at me like, oh man, he's like such a gentle giant, those kind of things. And then if I got drunk, because I was a heavy drinker back then too, then if I got pushed to the edge, then I would literally rip doors off the hinges. I did that twice. Wow. And it's just one of those things of like, then the Hulk came out. That means that I had no control, and that's pretty scary, because you should never really get to that point.
No, but like you said, the suppression, right? And
suppression.
Because then I always tell my kids, it's like, let's not get to where the volcano, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And you got to titrate those emotions and let them out so it doesn't become a big, volcano and express. Right. And I love that you mentioned also, even though you were a trainer and eating really well, it hit your gut, because that's what I went through. I was always, Melissa needs everything organic and this and that. And, I've always, worked out and done really well, but that's where it got me first. I started having acid reflux, where to the point where I can only eat drink bone broth and crackers. Like it got really bad. And I started seeing ENTs in Wasilla, and they're like, oh, you have GERD. I'm like, what? I'm like, how do I have GERD? I eat so well. I eat this. So it was a big red flag for me for all the suppression, where it hit my gut first. That's where it started. And even though you could do everything right on the outside, that you mentioned Reconnect, you had to start with self-awareness, right? And I think that's the goal for all of us, to just become so self-aware that then we rise our energy, our frequencies, and it has that ripple effect, and that's really what I've been working on my children as well, is noticing. When we had actually last summer, a challenge at Reconnect where we'll do 7 days going there, because it was so hot anyways. We're like, let's go.
Let's not leave. Let's stay in the building, everyone.
Like, it's 120. Let's go cold plunging every single day. And I said, let's journal. I actually took videos of them instead of like writing journaling. I said, let's just record how we feel every single day. And they more calm, more peace, more like, and actually there was times where they just needed a nap. Their bodies were tired, and just listen to that. Sometimes they don't want to miss anything. It's go, go, go. Yeah. And taking those naps, that's important. Look how much we get from our sleep, these visions, these, even for me writing my book, like it's important to have that sleep and pray beforehand. So then I do hear clearly what the words need to be in that book, right? So I love that you say you needed to kind of reconnect to yourself first, to your heart, and really listen, and be guided along the way. I just, you've been such a mentor, and I love that you finally, I remember always asking him, when are you going to start teaching? Because I really want to learn, your style of breathwork, because your classes are always so different. And the music and the drum and just your voice and what you say, it always hits me and brings me back home. And so I'm so honored that I was able to, join Resurrect Breath and learn from you, and now I can pass on that gift as well. And like you, for me to be able to give that gift and see, gosh, I just did one at a dental office a couple weeks ago, and to see how it opens up the layers, these armors on their heart that they haven't seen in forever, and the release and the self-awareness that comes afterwards, when we share the circle after, it just amazes me every time it wants to keep going and keep doing that. Like, that's such a passion for me too, because I see the healing properties, that it has for people, and the ripple effect to their families too, especially, for me, the dental industry, I feel that's so needed, the breath to release those emotions that they take on, that fear every day. They see 40 patients a day, but I'd love to, I've seen you do such wonderful events. Like your last one it was like a pool. Right?
Oh, yeah.
That was so cool. Yeah. I saw that video, and everyone was laying down on these floating mats.
Yeah.
And I think you were playing drum.
Playing the drum. Yeah.
And that was so healing. I'd love to hear some of your most powerful breathwork sessions that you've seen people Like people that have never been to a breathwork class, sometimes they're scared because they've heard, oh, you might hear, people screaming. You might hear people, crying, and they're a bit nervous. That's what I hear for some people, that it's going to be their first time. They're a little bit nervous, you know? So maybe to release these kind of fears instead of, what would you say to people, that are thinking of going into, a breathwork class, but they're a little bit scared? What would you say to that?
Well, I think there are a lot of marketing materials out there that do showcase the most intense parts that can happen. It's kind of like the analogy like this. People think lifting weights is going to get them buff, right? But it takes a lot of work to get buff. It does. It takes years. Constant, nonstop grinding in the gym, pushing the weights harder and harder and harder to maximize the load so your tissues will break down over and over and over again. Also on staying on top of your protein, making sure that the muscles are growing, right? So to have the expectation that you're just going to go to the gym and you lift weights, you're just going to end up like a buff bodybuilder, it's like, no. It's like the same thing for breathwork too. It's like just because you see these videos and hear these stories of people screaming and having such profound experiences, that's what's going to happen. We got to strip away the expectation, because really what it is that it takes time for the person to feel comfortable enough to even allow that to happen, right? So for anyone who is hesitant when it comes to breathwork, anyone who's hesitant about it, I think what we need to do is let them know that it's all about you connection to your breath and nothing else. That those things don't have to happen, and they're not necessary to happen, and it doesn't mean that they will happen. Because I've taught thousands of classes, and I've only had, truthfully, and I think it's because possibly dealing with the method itself and the environment as well, a handful of people that actually have screamed and have like really gone to like the next level of, you can tell that they're really letting some terrible pain out and they don't know how to control it, and it becomes like an explosion. So we're talking thousands of people in about 5 times. And I tend to talk to those people afterwards, and it often is that where they're like, I just didn't know what to do with this, or they said, I was told that this is what you're supposed to do when it feels this way. So this is what's tough about it, right? It's because breathwork is a journey to the inside, right? It's also a great way for you to just relax. It can be very peaceful. It can be so serene to where we have people who come in that have 500 employees and their mind is always running, always problem solving. They come and do the breathwork class and they go, wow, I haven't been this relaxed in years. Relaxed. That's how they felt, right?
Yes.
And then the person next to them will share something completely opposite, where they go, I went back in time and I saw myself as a child and hugged her and said that I love her, and then I forgave my abuser. I don't know how that all happened in 1 hour, but 10 years of therapy couldn't do that for me, and that just unfolded. Thank you. Right? So it just depends on where the person's at and their willingness to step in, right? It's the giving yourself permission to open those doors, and everyone takes it differently. So anyone who is nervous about it, it's like this: have intention without expectation. So if you're willing to step into a room where it's designed for you to safely express and experience your emotions, then you know that growth and discomfort are going to be both in the same place. Because you have to go through that discomfort, right, of hearing other people breathe, being in a space where other things are going on while trying to maintain your focus. I have to say at the same time, this is very much how life is. Me having this conversation with you, to not pay attention to the colors on the wall, the plants behind you, all the sounds of driving, all those things, it just takes work, right? Having that awareness and knowing how to be fully present. Breathwork gives you some of the greatest tools to access more presence in life. Can you beat that?
Yeah.
Right? Can you replace that with anything? That's why breathwork for anyone is so important when it comes to just having more presence in life. And if that's what you're seeking, if you want to have greater connection and communication with everyone around you, do some breathing exercises. Come to Resurrect Breathwork.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, absolutely.
And mainly because, like you said, it's Resurrect Breathwork is to safely navigate through your inner worlds. That means piece by piece, like you said, layer by layer. It's not just diving in and hitting you in the face. It's designed to teach you how to breathe, how to be aware of your breath, what you were feeling in the present moment, and then we go into all these other areas that are slowly peeling back the layers one by one. That's why it feels like such a journey, because it is. And we might do 5 different breathing techniques in the whole hour, but you'll just think, I don't know how I got here, but I feel different.
Yeah, it's so true. I love the way you explain that, because it's so true. Sometimes people are like, well, I just felt really relaxed. I'm like, yeah, but that's probably what you needed at the time. How many times do people take an hour out of their busy schedule just to take time for themselves, right? Just to kind of lay there and receive and breathe. I always say breath work is like your nervous system's best friend, right? It can really help you align and just calm and find peace and reconnect and kind of remember who you are, And yeah, I love the way you explain that. And now you're about to open up your second facility. And you're like, oh my gosh.
I am?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. All
You
right.
said it was like the most beautiful, and I can't wait. You said August 2nd, right? Open house.
Open house, August 2nd.
Open house. Yep. I'll be there. I cannot wait. And is this going to be a little different or same thing? Like, tell people what you do at Reconnect anyways, what you guide people through.
Well, like you mentioned before, right? Like what makes Reconnect different? It's the team, right? It's our mission. It's all that connection that gets formed, but it's the guidance and support, right? So like the guidance and support, I just had a conversation last night after breathwork class with a woman, and she shared how her coming every day is like a whole other world of experiences versus just popping in once or twice a week, because you get fully engulfed with this space, this environment where it says it's safe for you to go inside and you can express and talk about whatever it is you have going on.
Yeah.
Most of us don't have that in our life, right? So that's one of the parts about Reconnect that makes it what it is. And so us coming into Scottsdale, like I'm excited to bring that there, because Reconnect is a mirror, right? It's a mirror for everyone and everything, for you to have a chance to reflect on where you're at, where you've been, and where you're going. And you probably know this because you've gone through that with what you shared and how you felt called to come to Reconnect, and you did, and you answered the calling and the transformation that took place. And that's because of the support there, right?
Absolutely, the community, the support. I feel like it's my second home, really. I really do.
I love it.
Everyone's always so friendly and loving. Even my kids, they've really connected with everybody, and it's become a safe place, safe container to just be and be supported as I'm growing as well. They've seen my but from my book, like I was just going there, I'm like, oh, I'm healing, and then I'm writing a book, and then now we were on Writer's Island together.
That's right. Yeah.
So yeah, it's been a wonderful facility. I think
Thank you.
Excited for you to branch out to Scottsdale and maybe, Gilbert, maybe Queen Creek.
Well, hey, we'll see. That's the big picture there. Yes.
Yeah.
Gilbert, Queen Creek, like tie-in area right there.
Yeah. And I know you have also your app, right? So people can tell them a little bit how they can find you, and you have your app.
So everything is on my website, jeramemudick.com. Just my name. It has all the stuff that's tied to me, certification, my app, Reconnect itself, any type of speaking engagements and things like that. But yeah, the app itself, I designed the app because I was getting a lot of people who were from other states and other countries that were reaching out because they would hear about the breath, or maybe I traveled somewhere and they experienced it, and they're like, hey, where can I get this? Like, can I get more of you? Because I live on the other side of the country. And so eventually it was like, hey, I need to make an app. I need to make a product to where I can be on there. So it's all, right now it's guided breathwork, right? So it's specific breathing techniques and also tied in connected breathing techniques. So like, for example, before this meeting, you have a lot going on. Like, I just need to be more present, literally present breath, boom. And it's 5 minutes of me walking you through breathing technique that gets you more grounded into the present moment. And I'm talking to you. It's a video of me with you the whole time. So you can see the breath move through my body while I'm doing it. And there's music playing in the background. And then I have much longer ones where you're looking for a transformation that's up to 25 minutes, where you need to, like, I'm dropping in and doing a full breath work session here. I need to grieve, or I need to process whatever these emotions are, or I need to bring inflammation down on my body. I just need to get it out, whatever that is. And you can do it in the practice of your own home. Yeah. And eventually it's going into, right now I'm filming meditation audios as well.
Oh, I love
so
that.
To be, anything you need, like sleep, wake up in the morning, midday, check in with yourself, like things like that. And then also shorter ones between, let's say you're on a lot of phone calls, and it's like a 60-second reset for breathing. Boom, let's lock in, go from here.
Yes.
And a lot more of the things are coming in the app, but it's everything that's in here.
Yeah.
I want to put it in there.
Yeah, I love that. That's so exciting for you. And we were on Writer's Island, so kind of like was that your first TV show? It was mine.
Well, Legacy Makers.
Legacy Makers. You're right. That was our first episode.
That was the first one.
That was the first one. I mean, how did you feel about Writer's Island and be part of it? I mean, you were part of it, but, you know, guiding us through breath work and helping us, just, to have these small groups where we can discuss what was coming through and guiding us. And you're always such a wonderful presence, and so grounded. What is your experience? Like, what did you think about Writer's Island?
Amazing.
Yeah.
I honestly amazing because, and I think I shared a little bit about this on the last day, to watch everyone kind of go from A to B, and like that A is like this, all these expectations, right? Okay, it's going to be like this. I have to do this, all these things. And then to watch after like 3 days, everyone just kind of lets those things go so they can just experience it.
Yes.
Right? That to me is like the most gratifying when I can watch people lower those walls and just finally be themselves entirely.
Yeah, because that's kind of hard. That was my first thing.
Yeah.
It's all our first time being, there's production, the cameras, and we're mic'd the whole day. I'm like, well, that's going to be weird, I'm like, that's going to be really strange. But I actually forgot about me being mic'd at the time, which was kind of nice. I think because we already knew, I knew most of the authors on the island. I knew you, of course, Kira and Juliet and everyone is like my friend. Yeah. So it made it kind of easy and kind of forget about the cameras and just being yourself, right?
Yeah.
And just how sacred that island was. I mean, I kind of missed the food.
The food, Brittany has just got the greatest setup. She's incredible.
Yeah.
That food though, it truly does feel like it replenishes you, right?
Yes.
And it's so well prepared, and it's like the cleanest food you'll ever eat, and it all is delicious.
So much light is what I feel, like that light energy. I feel just so clear for my message and in my book, and meeting Brittany Turner and hearing her story and why she, I think, was she 26 years old when she bought that island?
Crazy.
And I love that she called it Ariel, and she shared with us that she called it because when she was called to buy this island by God, she didn't have an aerial view of why, of how she was going to manage that, right? Yeah. And who's going to come there and eventually have a TV show on there. Right. But she just trusted that calling. And that's what all of us were doing on the island there, just really trusting we were supposed to be there, even though I was like, I can't believe I'm here, And I really tried to be so present every day, and I'm still pinching myself that I was in that experience. And I cannot wait to see it all come together here in the fall and be on TV. I mean, my kids are so excited. They're like, oh my gosh.
It is really cool. Yeah. Like, we got to thank Kira for that one. She's a freaking powerhouse. And
she is.
She makes stuff happen, So it was
she ignites things in us, right? When she believes in you and sees you. I still remember when I first met Kira Brinton, I thought I was going to just like a healing grieving retreat at Savannah in Arizona. Really? Somebody had texted me this event.
That's right, the one that I went to.
Yes.
That's
right. You went there. That's right. And I show up there and I meet all these entrepreneurs, and they're all authors. And I'm like, well, I'm a dental hygienist. What am I doing here?
Am I in the right room?
I'm like, I thought this was a healing retreat, not a writing retreat. But then, as Kira does, she inspires you, and she's like, no, I see you, let's write. And I wrote so much in those 3 days, and she ignited something. And she had this practice where you stood up on a mat, and whatever came through, the visions, and I had the visions where, I'm going to be a speaker, I'm going to write a book, I'm going to do all that. I had all those visions in that retreat. And it was a full moon, I remember, we're all by the pool, and the last day, and she comes up to me and she's like, I see you. And just to hear that, somebody sees you, because I never thought I'd write a book. I thought, some people started planting that seed a little bit after my husband passed, but I thought, I still have so much to learn. I'm still in the beginning process. But then when I met Kira, I knew she was a publisher, and she's like, I can help you write a book in 5 days. I'm like, well, that's the only way I'm going to do it. I'm too busy, being a single mom with 2 kids and everything else. So I was like, okay, let's go. So ever since then, ever since I signed the dotted line to write a book, I mean, life has changed so much for even you, you were just kind of started with the Reconnect, and look at where you're at now, and still growing. And
it's crazy, huh?
Yeah, it is.
How did we get here?
I know.
What happened?
Yeah. But I'm so excited to see you keep rising and changing people's lives. I will continue coming to your classes always and go to Reconnect, and I will be there on August 2nd.
Yes.
Yeah, to
August
celebrate.
2nd, 10 to 2.
Yeah.
Memberships are live now.
You're so great. Actually, Jerame has so many gifts. Okay, like he mentioned, he can sing. And right? Are you gonna beatbox?
I'm definitely not gonna sing here on live television.
And he's got some killer dance moves, which I was gonna see if we can see them today, but I think you'll have to wait till Riders Island, because you put you had some pretty good dance moves on there.
I did have fun. I had to. It's like everything. It gets so serious sometimes, and and Kira talks about this a lot. Like, we got to have fun and we got to play. Like, it's a requirement.
Yes.
And the last 2 times on the island, I definitely stayed more because I'm like hired there to help, right? And I wanna hold that space and be that stuff, So for me to dance and just let loose, I'm kind of like, it's not in the cards for me right now. But on this one, I just said, you know what? I'm just gonna have fun.
Yeah, this is gonna be good TV.
And I really had fun just dancing my butt off.
Oh my gosh, when you had the big giant speaker on you, and then you're like, oh yeah, dancing away. I can't wait. They cannot cut that out of the scene.
I hope they do use it. That was
they will.
Fun.
It was fun, and it was nice that she had those games and a dance. And I remember even when I went on the 5-day writing adventure, she'd have dance breaks.
Yep.
And and we were in our pajamas, I still remember
Probably
that.
the best, right?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So, well, it's been such an honor to have you on here today, and you're busy, very busy schedule. So thank you.
No, thank you. Seriously, this is great. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much. Wow, I don't know about you, but I feel like something in me just softened. Every time I talk to Jerame, I learn something new, not just about breath work, but about myself. He reminds us that we don't have to relive the trauma to release it, that our bodies are incredibly intelligent, and healing happens when we learn to listen and let go. I'm so grateful to call him a mentor and a friend, and I hope this episode sparks something in you, whether it's your first breathwork experience or you're on your own path of remembering who you are. You are the cause. You are the cure. If you're in Arizona, make sure to visit Reconnect MindBody in Mesa, and keep an eye out for the new location in Scottsdale. You can also find Jerame through the Air Breath app and follow him online. Trust me, your nervous system will thank you. And as always, thank you for listening. If this episode moved you, share it with someone who needs it. Leave a review, take a breath, and remember, you're not alone. Until next time, keep breathing on purpose and walking in your truth. With so much love, Melissa Sue.